Hello again from my front porch. Well, I actually was flipping through the dial a little bit ago here on TV, and I saw something and I thought, oh, well, now that's really cool. I had never noticed that, and I did a little more research online to find out a little bit more about it because I was intrigued by it. Now, it's going to sound funny, but it's based off of the Inspector Gadget movie that was done back in 1999 that starred Matthew Broderick as Inspector Gadget. Now, I could use this as a springboard to go back and, talk more about why I don't like reboots because the movie was not very well received, and there were good reasons for that. From what I understand, though, a lot of the reason for it had to do with the fact that there were a long line of studio executives that kept interfering and changing things and asking writers to rewrite things and do stuff. Even the guy who played Dr. Claw in the movie complained that when the movie was released, that the final version of it, after all that meddling from the studio throughout the creation of the film, that after all that meddling, that the final, what we saw, barely resembles the original story they set out to tell. And so I really would kind of like to see what that original story was so I could form a better opinion on it. But we have to judge based on what we got. So anyway, I'm not talking about the movie itself, but actually the end credits, the extras that happened during the credits. Now remember, this is 1999. This is before the whole Marvel thing. And prior to Marvel doing this, there really weren't a lot of movies that added other content in the post credits. Now there were some that dabbled with it a little bit here and there, but now it's become a big thing because in every Marvel movie there is additional information, and it's not just, oh look, here's some blooper scenes, or here's some extra little things we cut out that we're throwing this in there, or some goofy little fun thing. It's actually additional information that carries the story just a little bit further. Then so they add those on at the end. Well, in the Inspector Gadget movie, there is a scene in the end credits that, and again, I was flipping the dial and I caught just the very end of the Inspector Gadget movie, which was okay because it allowed me to then be sitting there and I was doing stuff on my phone. I wasn't really paying attention, and then I look up just in time to watch what I think is probably the best scene of the entire movie. And it's this little standalone one-shot thing that happens in the credits. And that is when this guy who is a minion for Dr. Claw, who has discovered the error of his ways, thanks to Inspector Gadget's niece Penny, talking to the guy and helping him soften him up. But anyway, he is standing at this podium and he is basically at a Minions Anonymous meeting, and he's saying, hello, I used to be a Minion, but it's been I think 6 months or something since I took orders from anybody. Anyway, he's there at this Minions Anonymous meeting, and then the camera turns out to the audience, and the audience, the other attendees of this meeting, it's filled with characters that you and I would know. Some actually are the actual actors. Many of them are just lookalikes. And I tried looking up a list to confirm exactly who all of them were. I can't find a list. I wish I could, because they're not all noted, but I did find I tried going out to YouTube and finding the clip so I could drop it in here and show it to you, but all I could find was one from Poland, and unfortunately all the dialogue's dubbed over in Polish, and so I'm gonna put it in here and it's gonna be running, but I'm just gonna have to talk over it because you're not gonna be able to understand anything in there. So again, you see the henchman, he's standing up on the screen, or he's standing up at the podium, and he's introducing himself, and then you see the crowd that greets him, and there's several recognizable faces. And then as he's saying it's been so long since he's been taking orders from anybody, then you go back and they're all cheering, yay, that's good stuff. Okay, so that's what goes on in that particular scene. Now I want to freeze, yeah, that too. I'm going to freeze frame and I found the still image. I'll put that in here so you can see. You see in there you got Odd Job from the James Bond movies. You have Mr. T. That's the black guy in the front row with the beard. I know it doesn't look like him because he doesn't have his mohawk, but trust me, that is Mr. T. You've got Jaws from the James Bond movie. You've got the guy that's supposed to be a lookalike for Tattoo from Fantasy Island. You got a lookalike for Tonto. You got to look like for two Katos, the Kato from the Pink Panther movies and the Kato from the Green Hornet. You've got and you've got Igor from the Frankenstein movies, and a bunch of others whose identities I can't nail down. But all of those individuals are in the scene. Now I have to say, I have a little bit of issue with Kato from the Green Hornet and Tonto from the Lone Ranger being in a Minions session, because neither of them were minions. They were partners to their respective hero people. And you could say, well, they were sidekicks. Sometimes, but realistically, if you actually watch, and I've been watching a lot of the old Lone Ranger shows. I've found a channel they're on, and I've got my DVR set to record them, and then I'll sit down and I'll watch through a few of them. And if you go back and watch the Lone Ranger episodes, now there are some where Tonto basically fills the role of the damsel in distress. I don't know how many times he allows himself to get hit on the head when he's supposed to be doing something. But neither here nor there. There are also plenty of other examples, a lot of episodes in which Tonto and the Lone Ranger are absolutely equal in what they're doing, in their awareness of what's happening, in the actions that they're taking, and how they're supporting one another. And so I actually get a little bit irritated when people will make comments like, I don't want any Lone Rangers out there just doing things your own way. And I'm like, the Lone Ranger was never on his own. He was never a lone wolf out there doing his own thing. He always had Tonto, and he always worked with local law enforcement, unless the local law enforcement was the bad guy. But the Lone Ranger did not operate on his own, and so this notion that he's like this renegade out there and that Tonto was his subservient sidekick, that's bogus. That's not even remotely true. And so anyway, same thing for Kato with the Green Hornet. You go back and watch, I mean, come on, Bruce Lee played the role on television. Bruce Lee, I would, if Bruce Lee were even still alive, I would defy any of you to get in his face and say that he was a minion to the Green Hornet. That is not true, not at all. But still, the concept itself, and I wish they hadn't said minions, I wish they would have said sidekicks or something like that, but still, the concept I thought was really funny, that they just kind of dropped this in at the end of this movie, this otherwise lackluster film, and then they drop in this little nice thing at the end that's a good send-up to all these classic movie characters. And so I just thought that was kind of fun, and I thought I'd share that moment with you. So with that, I'll let you go, and I'll see you next time from my front porch.